Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer. I'm skilled in all the psychic abilities because I have been trained in them since basically birth. Um, and I worked with scientists, not just military, which means things kind of needed to make sense, which is something that I believe in. And one of the things that I was taught was that information you brought, how's it useful? And it was problematic because there's a lot of information that doesn't appear useful initially, but you need it as a piece of the puzzle. And without that information, you are never going to get a complete puzzle, or you're never going to be able to understand what it is that the puzzle would be telling you if you were able to complete it. So you're going to get a lot of information here that you may not know where to put, but I'm going to have no mercy. I was also trained by tantric monks, which are very different from the monks that we're familiar with in this country. The tantric monks have no mercy, compassion, but no mercy. And they will do what they need to do to take you to where you decided you needed to be, which is mission. And if you decided on a tough mission, which I did, then your training's going to be tough. I'm not going to be tough here with you, but I think I'm going to stop babysitting because honestly there's no time. Let's go ahead with what's really interesting, which is my latest map of the United States, which I did approximately an hour ago. We know that there was some kind of geisha explosion in Yellowstone, and it's anticipated that that could be the thing that could destroy the United States. I'm sure those scientists are correct that if it blows, it would. But they also are not taught about the future being elastic and plastic. They're not taught about healing. They're not talking about human intention. So the fact that they said that that can happen and that we're kind of scheduled doesn't mean it's not going to. That's why in the Bible, it says that they don't know when all this stuff is going to go down, because it's human behavior that is going to determine it. Now, I made a couple of comments about the Bible yesterday that perhaps for those of you that don't know me might sound harsh. I quote the Bible all the time. I love Jesus. He was a shaman. I love him. There is nothing about him that I don't love. And a lot of people that I see that feel that they're very religious and they're very Christian and they're very, I'll say to them, but you're not living the way Christ did. This is not a question of a book and reading from a book. You should be living like Christ. And if you're not kind of living like Christ, then that book is not going to take care of the issue. I'm talking about the Bible. Also, many years ago, I found the translation. No, I found the original Lord's Prayer and realized that we have been fed a translation that takes away all our personal power. So I have opinions based on many years of observation that I'm actually allowed to have, but that I believe that if you don't sweep everything with well, you don't believe in the Bible. I believe in some things from the Bible. Perhaps everything in the Bible is accurate. But is that what was said 1700 years ago, which is when the Bible was put together? So I just wanted to say that. Let's go back to the interesting stuff. Remember that Karl Marx, I believe it was, said that religion was the opium of the masses. Well, Francis Fox says that politics is the opium of the masses today. You cannot allow yourself to be jerked around, controlled, or frightened by politics, because your intention and group intention is much stronger than whatever it is that the bad guys or the good guys would be doing. And religion, the fact that somebody believes in something doesn't mean that you shouldn't be allowed to examine it. And I think it was Tucker that said the other day, if I came, and I've said this for years, if I came home with that story and told my mother, I'd get slapped around. So if your story cannot be examined and people cannot question it, then you have a lot of weakness in that story. And you need to make sure you're not just standing on that, because that means you're in a very weak position. We need to be allowed to question everything. Okay, back to the map. This is the map of the United States. Energies an hour ago. I need to reposition myself. Okay, the top, the energy is truth revealed and healings begin. And that is referring to politics. Trump restored faith, which means it repaired the crown chakra of this country. Crown chakra is our connection to spirit, to God. It's also our connection to where we're from off planet. If you're still struggling with the ET thing and the spirit thing, then you're going to be like, oh, wait a second, wait. We're not from here originally. And the connection comes in through here. So this was broken in this country. We didn't have any faith that there would be anything that, this was never going to get fixed. The fact that they tried to kill him and he didn't allow it to happen and threw his fist in the air restored faith. Here's the trick with the crown chakra. Countries have crown chakras. Human beings have crown chakras. Those are energy centers, and they each one has specific characteristics. This crown chakra, I just realized this now. When your crown chakra that has to do with spirituality and connection to God, etc., faith, is connected to your root chakra, which is at the bottom. The trick with the root chakra is that it has to do with prosperity, security, safety. Okay? If the crown chakra is working properly, the root chakra is going to work properly. They work together. And I knew this intellectually, but I didn't really realize it till like 6 months ago. I have big issues with the crown chakra because I had big issues with faith because as a child, I did not know anything about my mission. And I was very angry that God was not saving me from these horrible things. This was really broken. And this, by the way, the crown chakra connects your spinal column and whatever. And I have a degenerative disease in my spine. Don't worry about it. If I had continued with medical doctors, I would have been in a wheelchair 40 years ago. When they told me that and told me they couldn't really help me, I didn't ever go back. So Trump's reaction to what he did gave us faith. You know that. You can feel it. But that also means that the root is going to get fixed. And the root is the economy. Now, it's not fixed here, but this just happened less than a week ago. But if this stays open, we're not going to have to worry about the economic collapse. How do you like them apples? It's going to be great because everybody's predicting that. It's not happened yet. We have the 3 pyramids of protection, and then we have the big eye in the center of the United States, which you can barely see, which means we are awake and willing to look at truth, bad, good. There's an expression in Spanish. If you put your thumb up, you can cover the sun. If you go like this, that expression in Spanish is poner el dedo y para tapar el sol. We did a lot of that in this country. We're not doing that anymore. What is it? We want to know. The trick is that we're maybe getting into a little bit too much information. This thing with the shooting, oh my God, there is no way they're going to get away with that. Not with millions of people with their cameras and their computers and their interconnectedness. It's going to all come out. Our third eye is open. I'm so sorry you can barely see it. There you go. And that third eye is very important because we are now galactic, the entire planet, all of us, this country, all the countries. It's great. The thing here, South Florida is shining, but it has been for a while. Now, my group opened a portal in Miami called the Portal of Miami. Maybe that has something to do with it. The Miami Circle, which is a Mayan site where the Bay of Miami goes into the Miami River, got activated. It's a sacred site. It was activated in January of this year. Maybe that has to do with it. I'll ask the dolphins one day. The only place it doesn't look so good, The U.S. was stabilized. The U.S. is stabilized in the other dimensions, but lots will shake up and fall away in the next few days. Okay, so here's the trick. This wonderful thing does not mean that there are not going to be a lot of bad things happening. The stuff that's not good, the stuff that is a lie, everything is about the truth. Throat chakra, truth. The truth will stay standing. Now, before they could cover up the truth, they could run circles around us, they could use mind control, they could put fluoride, they could do whatever. They can continue to do that. It'll affect us. But nobody's going to be able to stop the truth because we're in Revelations. And the truth is going to set us free. So a lot of things that we rely on that are kind of okay are going to collapse because they're not based on truth. The fact that we want them, we need them, and their collapse is a problem doesn't mean they're going to stay. So repeating, the U.S. has been stabilized in the other dimensions, but lots will shake up and fall away in the next few days. I sketched us already today. So let me find that sketch and show you what we look like. Here we go. This is today, 7 o'clock, 7:23. This is us. We have the 3 pyramids of protection. Then we have an extra pyramid. This is good. And then we're in a circle, like a bubble. This is good. That's also protection. This is what's happening. Yellowstone is diffusing. That sounds positive. Okay? Shh. Future's elastic and plastic. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the information I have now. The spaceships are not up here. They're here. Because I think that in terms of frequency, in terms of location in the other dimensions, we're no longer very connected to Earth. We don't have our feet on the ground any longer. We're here. What does that mean? I have no idea. These are spaceships. The doors are open. They're inviting us in. And then the words, third eye open, don't look back. What does that mean? I don't know. Actually, you know that we found that the movie Matrix was accurate and was trying to tell us that we have these tubes that are implanted in us, but it's not just one tube back here. We have dozens of tubes in all of our bodies that are infusing in us energies that we didn't ask for, that we didn't want, and that are not good. Especially the volume that is coming in. So I learned how to cut them, and we're doing that. It's a tedious process, and I don't know how to get this out to the entire world. I tried to teach people. Yes, a lot of my followers have learned how to do it, but the whole world? How do we do this? How do we teach everybody that they need to get rid of that? I'm not looking for people to come to me because this is not really something that I want to do. But when I was looking up the thing with the Matrix, I still haven't found anybody that has talked about those particular type of implants in humans. There are implants that look like metal plates, and they implant them in the center axis that we have so that the energy does not rise. Okay, we've known that. We have spirits that in the shape of snakes that we have to remove when we do healings. I've not heard of anybody actually seeing this one that's like the Matrix one. But when I was looking up the Matrix one, I think it was one of my followers said, the Medusa. Remember Medusa? I think I have give me a second and I'll see if I do have it. I do. So Medusa has all of these snakes. Okay, so what's that got to do with what I'm talking about? Those implants, when I cut them like an umbilical cord. You know the umbilical cord, it's stretched. They put 2 clamps, they cut it in the middle. They throw away the umbilical cord, that piece with the placenta, whatever. Or they do interesting things with it, which we don't even need to get into. And then this part, they have clamped, tied up. I tie it up, and then it falls off. When I cut them now, this thing is alive. And if I go all the way to the end where it's implanted in us, it's like the head of a snake. So we have this with Medusa, which is now making sense. And then we get this statement, don't look back. So when I wrote that statement, I remembered Medusa. You were not supposed to look at Medusa. Is it connected? I don't know. Okay? I don't know if it is. I'm just giving you hits that I'm getting. So the important thing to note is that the third eye is everything, including the country. The country woke up in terms of, in other words, if you're asleep, your third eye is totally asleep. The country woke up. There are a lot of people that are still asleep that you can slap around and they're still hanging on to the old belief system that was not rooted in reality. It was rooted in sweet intentions, but that wasn't really real. So the third eye. So we have to continue developing the third eye because it seems to be the center of what is a human being having to do with this new era that we're going into. So we're going to continue in a few minutes with the third eye, and we're going to do a mantra to stabilize the politics in the United States. The other day, we spent a couple of hours stabilizing the energy of the United States, and we felt that we had made a difference in the movement in Yellowstone. Oh, I forgot one thing, I think maybe because I didn't want to say it. The only place it doesn't really look so good is that darn coast in Texas. What is that all about? There's no longer the X's, which means that the black magic got cleared up. Why is that red? But crown chakra, faith. This down here would be root chakra. Now, the root chakra is supposed to be red, and this is red. I have to ask the dolphins to give me a write-up on that because I don't like seeing that there, and yet, it might actually be a positive thing. So maybe while you're doing the mantra, I will very quickly ask the dolphins. Okay, so give me a second and let me get this off of this screen. So where are we at? We're at a place where we can kind of count on what's going on in terms of the level of the earth having to do with my sketches. This is the 18th, and this is the earth rising up. And then we have today, where there's a lot of movement of that. And we have the potential for takeoff having to do with the ascension process. What does that mean? Years ago, I read that Earth would divide into two planets, two Earths, because there would be such a gap between two different frequencies. There would be people that would be in living hell, and they would be with kind of like the old Earth with a really low vibration. And then there'd be people that had woken up and had done a lot of healing, et cetera, and their vibration is so different that law of attraction, magnetism, they can't be together. They can't. They're too different. And that because of that, the Earth would divide in two. It turned out that a lot of people had said that. When I said it, I went, oh God, please, I can't put this out. People are going to think I'm crazy. I didn't want to believe it, but I'm an information expert. I'm not the one that's supposed to be determining. I'm the one who's supposed to be getting accurate information and not messing it up by overhandling. So I put it out. It turned out a lot of people have already said that, and they've been saying it for a long time that there'd be two Earths. We, I believe, have already ascended into somewhat of a different. So forget the two Earths. That's very hard to wrap your head around. We're in a different frequency. We have risen. There's a different frequency. We can feel it. Until the attempted assassination, people had a different energy about them. It was kind of like really neat, very positive. And I think we're going to have another increase in frequency. At the same time, the earth is getting to a place where maybe it won't be really livable because of the level of catastrophes, but that most of us will not be going through. And that's in the Bible, where there's two at the well, and God comes and lifts one up, and the other one remains behind. And the dolphins said that also. The point of the matter is, we have tremendous protection and galactic help. And the third eye has opened. And in terms of rooting, in terms of root chakra, we seem to be doing pretty good. So let's go ahead and I think actually, though, we're going to go ahead and do the mantra for stabilizing politics in the United States, because that, I think, politics can cause catastrophes, such as what happened after 9/11, which was really emotional reaction to politics. And in this case, it would be emotional reaction to politics. Let's go ahead and do the mantra for stabilizing politics in the United States. And they're asking, there was an explosion at Yellowstone. It may or may not continue. According to Space Weatherman, he doesn't feel it's going to be that big a deal. And when we worked the other day, it felt like maybe we had been able to cool that down a bit. So we should be optimistic in the middle of chaos. What I've been teaching since 99, we can have prosperity in the midst of chaos. Wouldn't it be nice if we could all be prosperous? But what Trump did that opened the crown chakra basically puts us on a very different path. All of you do not know how powerful you are. You don't know how powerful you are. And that's why the new type of religion, which is not going to be religion at all, man is going to be in the center, but not like a man. Humans are going to be at the center. They're going to be gods. And if you read the book, darn, I don't remember the name right now, but there's so many out there about how the gods that we've revered on this planet basically are from other places, and they have superpowers. So we assume that they're gods. Well, we're not going to be doing that anymore too much longer, which is good. Okay, so the mantra is going to be, give me a moment. I'm going to try to make it short, which is how mantras should be. So the mantra is, please God, help us with our intention to miraculously purify politics. Okay? But I'm talking about politics in the United States. I want your intention to limit to this country. And in order for you to practice with your third eye, it might be interesting for some of you to go to Yellowstone Park and see if that's stable, or to take your healing intentions to that area. Or if there's another area in the United States that concerns you, whether it's political or whether it's earth, natural catastrophes, go ahead with you, have the intention of seeing the energies there. I'm not sure that we should even bother going to Washington, D.C., because that's completely insane. So we can keep that not theoretical, but generic, purifying politics. But if you want, look at Washington, D.C., and see if what we're all doing, if you can see changes in the energy in terms of colors, in terms of images. You may get words, you may get feelings. You may be sick to your stomach initially, and then it may get better. That's being clairsentient. You may just get colors. You could get geometric figures, and then, of course, all that stuff needs to be interpreted at some point and there's nobody here that's going to interpret them for you. So you have to be doing this a lot, and you yourself eventually will start to unravel what that means for you. Okay? Let me put, I'm going to do the trilling. Trilling is the sound of the mind streams, which is the instrument of the mind that we use, our mind, the part of our mind that creates reality. So I'm going to put the trilling on because we can always count on that. And why am I saying don't just necessarily go to Washington, D.C.? Because a lot of stuff is being determined other places. Biden is in Las Vegas. Was it Las Vegas? What the heck is he doing there? If I'm right, we don't know where all these people are, because where they say there are, they're not necessarily there. But if you want to look at Washington, D.C., that represents politics, you can do it. So let's go ahead and we can do 20 minutes. The worst is going to happen is that your level of anxiety is going to go down. Because when you do a mantra, even if it's for someone else or another country that's not yours, to do the mantra, your energy bodies reorganize, coordinate, get connected. You get pointed in one direction, and your anxiety gets soothed a lot, and a lot of bad stuff gets kicked out on its own. Okay? So let's try that. I cut it short for a reason, but I only cut it short for a few minutes. I did take the time, I don't know if you could hear me typing, to ask the dolphins about what is going on with Texas. With the two eclipses, with every time I sketch, there's congestions there. And I got the most fascinating answer. Here's my question to them. What is the issue with Texas and the double eclipses and now the congestion of fire on the east coast of Texas? Remember that eclipses have been known throughout centuries. Modern people don't know that. When there's an eclipse, they know it's because bad stuff is going to happen. So to have an X form over Texas was really very significant. So this is the dolphin answer. Crazy. Texas is the center for the New World Order, as in new and order. The economics of the New World in the US will follow Elon's footsteps and integrate spiritual teachings into the business world. Okay, it's true. He doesn't talk about spiritual, Elon, but what he teaches about needing to love what you're doing, everything that he teaches is very evolved spiritually. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. Texas is the center for the New World Order, as in new and order, not the New World Order that people throw around and is a plan to control us all. No. The economics of the New World in the US will follow Elon's footsteps and integrate spiritual teachings into the business world. So Texas became a target for off-planet interference. Makes total sense to me. It may not to you. I'm sure that people will say, that's just because you adore Elon. A lot of people adore Elon. What's the problem with that? There's no problem with that. Why would I adore him? Because everything he says makes so much sense to me. It's totally integrated with what it is that I teach, that I know, that I learned. So this makes me very happy. I like business. Even though I'm a Cancer, I like business. I like doing business. I like doing business consulting. I'm not a spiritual person of, free, everything is for free and people, it's all about love and there's money has no part in it. Not in the world that we live in today. There's nothing the matter with it. As long as you love what it is you're doing and what you're doing is aligned with your mission, because if not, you're going to be miserable and you're going to be putting out a miserable product and a miserable service, which is what's happened too much in the last few years in this country. So that's going to change. But now let's go back to the map. Okay, let's go back to the map now that we have that information. So our crown chakra opened up because what happened to Trump, the fact that he should have been taken down and that he wasn't, and that he stood up victorious, gave our faith an incredible healing in this country. Okay, we already said that. And now we have the dolphins saying that Elon is going to set a standard for business. Now, business is very associated with the root chakra, which would be at the base of the map, which is Texas. And if either the root or the crown are in good order and not disrepair, then it drags along the other chakras. So if the faith is working, the root is going to get fixed. Or if you want to work on the root, which would be Texas, then the faith will get fixed. Well, we had an event that pushed us all into a massive healing, which was the assassination attempt. And then you have at the top Trump, and at the bottom you have Elon. And believe me, when I'm doing these sketches, I was viciously trained, and I try to keep up, not the viciousness, but the discipline to make sure that I'm not interfering in what it is that I am sketching because it's too important to me to be accurate. It's too important for the people that are following me. They trust me. It needs to be right. Believe me, I wasn't thinking about these two men when I sketched this. The thing with Trump makes sense. But and the two men apparently have become, I don't know, fast friends. They're associating a lot together, and I know people are saying that that's because Elon is trying to position himself for his businesses and whatever. He's not just doing stuff for his business. Half of the stuff he does is to try and save us, including trying to get us off the planet, because apparently he was instinctively aware of let's see if we can make this two rather than one, and you can see my face and the map. I guess that's not going to happen. So we have some fascinating things happening that are so much more positive than we could have anticipated that we really should throw a party, because the assassination attempt completely changed everything. And a lot of people are saying that on X, that attempt set a new vibration, and it was a much better vibration. Who would have thought that somebody trying to kill somebody would create such a wonderful thing? But at least now I know the issue with Texas, because the first eclipse was last October, I think. And I knew about it since September. And my group, we worked on Texas, trying to clear it and to clear it and to clear it. And it was like, what's going on here? And then we had the second eclipse, and there's still issues. And it's like, why? First place, whoever it is that determines when catastrophes are going to happen or not also determines where there's going to be eclipses. What were they thinking when they decided to crisscross over Texas? What they were saying is, there's a problem here that you guys need to take care of, which means we must stabilize Texas, having to do with this country. And then you get into the immigration crisis, the border crisis, which destabilizes. So it's just kind of so neat the way it all works together, and to where I can see something or sketch something and not really understand it in the moment. And then I look at it later and I go, oh my God, this is gold. How incredible. This is so positive that whatever happens in the next several days in terms of catastrophes, so we were told the other day, the night of the assassination, we worked for a couple of hours stabilizing the country energetically. Oh, darn. Hold on. Let me turn it off. However it is that it turns off. They changed everything on my phone. I'm not going to go into that. They being the people that made the phone. So we are looking really good. The other day when we worked on this country, the United States, the energies in the other dimensions to stabilize, we were told that perhaps we had made a difference in the thing with Yellowstone and this rage that was in the center of the country, because volcano is rage. And when there's an eruption, it's because it's too much and the earth has got to release. We were told that perhaps we had made a difference, but that there was still that the center of the earth was looking for relief. So there was going to be a happening, and that a lot more people than the 200,000 that had died in the Indonesia tsunami were going to die. So in the next several days, if this does happen, the future's elastic and plastic, please remember this map. And again, we have limited to this country. Remember the map. There is very good stuff happening. And we were told thousands of years in advance that this was going to be a little bit of a messy situation having to do with the transition into a new era for humans. And it is a little bit messy. Anyway, thank you for joining me. And remember that this is all put into podcasts, and it's on Apple and on Spotify if you want to recommend it. And then if you want to look at the sketches, the link will be right there for you to go ahead and find it on YouTube. Being it that I don't know how to keep it up permanently on X and to have people find it, you can go to YouTube and you can see this actual video and you can see the sketches. So I really appreciate you joining me. And if you give me a second, I swear, I don't know how anybody can think that they can get away with anything anymore with the number of details that are coming out about that attempted assassination. I think that people who want to do bad things need to think twice about it. Talk about citizen journalism. And we can attribute a lot of what we're getting to the fact that Elon Musk, who is the face of New Age business, is the face of spiritual based business, we can attribute it to him purchasing Twitter. We're in the age of revelations, and it will all be revealed. But if there had not been a place to post what we are personally, the information we're gathering, it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. It's all adding up. It's all adding up. And all you have to do is learn what is the new regime going to be like, but not regime as in a monarchy or a dictatorship or presidency, the new regime as in the new rules, which have to do with what are the energies so that you can have a frequency match with those energies and be supported by those energies. You learn that stuff, you'll be in a good place in very interesting times. Thank you for joining me.